Why smart people still lose the money game. Most people believe money is about effort. Work harder, try more, stay busy. And yet, every day, intelligent people struggle with money. They work long hours. They follow the rules. They do what they were told. Still, they fall behind. This is not because they are lazy. And it is not because they are stupid. It is because they are playing a game without knowing the rules. Money is not just income. Money is not just numbers. Money is not just luck. Money is a game. And like every game, it rewards players who understand how it works, not those who simply try harder. The biggest lie about money from childhood: most people are taught one simple idea. If you work hard, you'll be fine. This idea sounds comforting. It feels fair. It feels moral. But it is incomplete. Hard work matters. But hard work alone does not guarantee winning the money game. In every game, effort without strategy leads to exhaustion. Imagine playing chess by moving pieces randomly, but moving them with great effort. You would still lose. Money works the same way. People lose not because they don't try, but because they don't understand the structure of the game they are in. Why money feels confusing. Money feels confusing because no one explains it clearly. School teaches math, but not money behavior. Jobs teach tasks, but not financial strategy. Society teaches consumption, not control. As a result, most people grow up knowing how to earn, but not how to win. They are taught how to work inside the system, not how the system actually operates. This creates a dangerous gap. People believe they are failing personally, when in reality, they are uninformed strategically. The invisible rules. Every game has invisible rules. In sports, these rules are written. In money, they are hidden. Rules like how money flows, why some income grows and other income disappears, why debt works for some people and destroys others, why time affects money differently depending on position. Most people never learn these rules, so they play blindly. And blind players almost always lose. Why effort is not enough. Effort is visible. Strategy is invisible. Society praises effort, long hours, sacrifice, stress. But money does not reward stress. It rewards position. Where you stand in the money game matters more than how tired you are. Two people can work equally hard. One moves forward, the other stays stuck. The difference is not motivation. The difference is leverage. What leverage really means. Leverage does not always mean power. It means advantage. It means having something that multiplies your effort. Time, skills, systems, knowledge. People who win the money game use leverage. People who lose trade time for money repeatedly with no multiplication. This is not wrong, but it is limiting. And no one explains this early enough. The emotional side of money. Money is not just logical, it is emotional. Fear, shame, pride, comparison. Most people make money decisions emotionally, then justify them logically. This is why money mistakes repeat. Without understanding the emotional rules of the game, even smart people sabotage themselves. They earn more, but spend more. They save some, but panic under pressure. They invest emotionally, not strategically. This keeps them stuck. Why people avoid learning the game. Learning the money game feels uncomfortable. It forces people to question beliefs they grew up with. Beliefs like, money is evil. Rich people are greedy. I'm just bad with money. This isn't for people like me. These beliefs protect the ego, but they block growth. Games cannot be won by belief alone. They are won by understanding. The moment everything changes. There is a moment when someone realizes something important. I was never bad at money. I was never taught how it works. This realization is powerful. It removes shame. It creates curiosity. It opens the door to learning. From that moment, money stops feeling mysterious. It starts feeling playable. What this series will teach. This series is not about getting rich fast. It is not about hype. It is not about unrealistic promises. It is about understanding the game. You will learn why money behaves the way it does, why income alone is not enough, how decisions compound over time, why some habits keep people poor without realizing it, how to shift from survival thinking to strategy thinking. This is about clarity, because clarity changes behavior. The goal is not perfection. The goal is awareness. Once you see the game, you stop blaming yourself. You stop guessing. You start making moves intentionally. And intentional players always perform better than emotional ones. A simple truth: you don't need to be smarter than everyone else. You don't need to be lucky. You need to understand the rules. That's it. Coming next. In the next segment, the focus will be on the players. Who wins, who loses, and why the difference has less to do with income and more to do with how people think about money. Segment 2. Who wins, who loses, and why income is not the difference. If money were only about income, the results would be simple. People who earn more would always win. People who earn less would always lose. But reality tells a very different story. Every day, people with high salaries struggle with debt, stress, and financial fear. At the same time, people with modest incomes quietly build stability and freedom. This contradiction confuses most people. They assume something is wrong with them. They assume they are unlucky. They assume money success is reserved for a special group. But the truth is far less mysterious. Money outcomes are not decided by income alone. They are decided by how players think and behave inside the game. The two types of players. In every money system, there are two broad types of players. They exist at every income level. They are not divided by education, intelligence, or effort. They are divided by how they relate to money. One group plays to survive, the other plays to position themselves. Both groups work. Both groups earn. But their decisions lead them in very different directions. The survival player. The survival player views money emotionally. Money feels like relief. Money feels like safety. Money feels like something that disappears quickly. For the survival player, the main goal is make enough to get through the month. This mindset creates predictable behavior. When money comes in, tension releases. When money goes out, anxiety rises. Decisions are reactive. Bills first. Comfort second. Planning later, if there is energy left. This player is not irresponsible. They are overwhelmed. They are playing defense, and in any game, Defense without strategy eventually leads to exhaustion. The positional player. The positional player views money structurally. Money feels like a tool. Money feels neutral. Money feels something that can be directed. For this player, the main question is not, "How much did I earn?" but, "What position did this decision put me in?" They focus on control over cash flow, reduction of future pressure, decisions that compound, protection against downside. This player still experiences stress, but stress does not control decisions. Structure does. Why income misleads people. Income is visible. Position is invisible. Society praises income because it is easy to measure. Salary, hourly rate, annual numbers. But income does not tell the full story. Two people earning the same amount can live in completely different realities. One is trapped by fixed expenses and debt. The other has flexibility and options. The difference is not effort. It is structure. The role of fixed costs. One of the most powerful forces in the money game is fixed cost. Rent, car payments, subscriptions, debt obligations. Fixed costs create pressure. Pressure forces decisions. The higher the fixed pressure, the fewer choices a person has. Survival players often increase fixed costs as income rises. They upgrade lifestyle without upgrading strategy. This feels like progress until pressure increases. Positional players are cautious with fixed costs. They understand one key rule. Every fixed cost is a future obligation. Obligations reduce freedom. Why losing feels personal. Most people interpret money struggles as personal failure. I'm bad with money. I don't have discipline. I'll never get ahead. But these beliefs misunderstand the game. Games produce predictable outcomes. If someone follows losing strategies consistently, they will lose, regardless of intelligence. Blame is misplaced. The issue is not character. It is strategy awareness. The comfort trap. One reason people lose the money game is comfort. Comfort feels deserved. Comfort feels healing. Comfort feels necessary. And comfort is important. But when comfort is used to escape pressure rather than reduce it, it becomes a trap. Short-term relief creates long-term stress. The survival player uses money to feel better now. The positional player uses money to feel safer later. Both are human. Only one wins consistently. The time factor. Time behaves differently depending on how money is positioned. For survival players, time increases pressure. Bills repeat, costs rise, energy drains. For positional players, time reduces pressure. Decisions compound, skills stack, systems stabilize. Time is either an enemy or an ally. Money strategy decides which. Why most people never switch. Switching from survival to positional thinking is uncomfortable. It requires delaying gratification. It requires questioning habits. It requires tolerating temporary discomfort. Many people know what to do, but cannot bring themselves to do it. Not because they are weak, because the emotional system is trained for relief, not strategy. This is why money education alone is not enough. Mindset must shift. The moment of awareness. For most people, change begins with one realization. I'm not losing because I earn too little. I'm losing because I'm reacting instead of positioning. This realization removes shame. Shame blocks learning. Curiosity opens it. What this series is really about. This series is not about shaming survival players. Everyone starts there. It is about showing a path forward, a path where money becomes calmer, decisions become clearer, pressure reduces instead of increases. This is not about becoming rich. It is about becoming stable first, because stability creates options, and options are the real prize in the money game. Coming next. In the next segment, the focus will shift to cash flow. Not budgeting, not restriction, but understanding why money seems to disappear, and how winners design flow instead of chasing income. Segment 3. Why money seems to disappear. The truth about cash flow. Most people believe their money problem is simple. They believe they don't earn enough. If I just made more money, they think, everything would be fine. But this belief is one of the most dangerous misunderstandings in the money game. Because earning more does not automatically create control. In fact, for many people, earning more actually makes the problem worse. Money disappears not because it is too small, but because cash flow is misunderstood. And in the money game, cash flow is everything. What cash flow really means, cash flow is not income. Cash flow is not salary. Cash flow is the movement of money. It is how money enters your life, how it moves through your life, and how quickly it leaves. Most people only look at the entry point. Paycheck arrives. Relief follows. But winners look at the entire path. Where does the money go? How long does it stay? Does it return or disappear forever? These questions separate players who stay stuck from players who gradually gain control. Why money feels like it. Leaks. Many people describe money the same way. It just disappears. This feeling is not imaginary. It comes from a lack of visibility. Money leaves quietly. Small expenses, automatic payments, convenience spending, emotional purchases. None of these feel dangerous alone. Together, they drain cash flow slowly and consistently. The problem is not spending. The problem is unconscious spending. And unconscious behavior always wins against intention. The paycheck relief trap. One of the strongest emotional patterns in the money game is paycheck relief. Money arrives, stress drops, guard goes down. This is when most financial damage happens, because relief feels like permission. Permission to spend, permission to relax, permission to ignore structure. The survival player associates income with relief. The positional player associates income with responsibility. This difference changes everything. Why budgeting fails for most people. Many people try to fix cash flow with budgeting. They track numbers, they create rules, they set limits, and then they quit. Not because budgeting is wrong, but because budgeting often ignores emotion. Budgets tell people what they should do. They do not address why people actually spend. Stress, boredom, reward, identity. Without addressing these drivers, budgets feel restrictive, and restriction creates rebellion. Cash flow control works best when it reduces pressure, not increases it. The real goal of cash flow control. The goal is not perfection. The goal is predictability. Predictability reduces anxiety. When someone knows where money goes, they stop feeling chased by it. Control is calming, even if the numbers are small. Fixed flow vs. flexible flow. In the money game, there are two types of flow: fixed flow, flexible flow. Fixed flow includes expenses that cannot be adjusted easily: rent, loans, subscriptions, long-term commitments. Flexible flow includes choices, food habits, lifestyle spending, optional purchases. The survival player increases fixed flow as income rises. The positional player protects flexibility. Flexibility is power, because flexibility creates options. Why losing players chase more income? When cash flow feels tight, the instinct is to earn more hours, side hustles, overtime. This can help, temporarily, but without fixing flow, increased income simply feeds increased spending. This creates a cycle. Earn more, spend more, feel stressed, repeat. The cycle feels productive, but it is exhausting. Winners design flow before chasing income. Winning players ask different questions. What happens to money after it arrives? Which expenses create future pressure? Which choices reduce stress later? They design flow first. Income growth comes second. This is why some people feel calm on modest income, while others feel trapped on high income. The psychology of small leaks. Small leaks are dangerous because they feel harmless. Coffee here, delivery there, subscription forgotten. These are not moral failures. They are design failures. Systems beat willpower every time. Winning the cash flow game means designing friction, making bad spending slightly harder, making good behavior automatic. This is strategy, not discipline. The first shift that changes everything. The most powerful shift is simple. Stop asking, "How much do I make?" Start asking, "Where does it go?" This question creates awareness. Awareness creates control. Control creates calm. And calm is what allows long-term thinking. Why cash flow is emotional, not mathematical. People don't lose money because they can't do math. They lose money because money is tied to emotion, relief, fear, reward, status. Understanding cash flow requires emotional honesty. Why do certain purchases feel necessary? Why does spending feel like relief? Why does saving feel like loss? These answers matter more than numbers. What this segment is really about. This segment is not telling you to stop spending. It is showing you why money feels slippery and why awareness beats restriction. Winning the money game is not about saying no to everything. It is about saying yes intentionally. Coming next. In the next segment, the focus will shift to debt. Not shame, not fear, but understanding why debt destroys some players and accelerates others. Because in the money game, debt is not evil. It is dangerous when misunderstood. Segment 4. Debt. The tool that destroys losers and accelerates winners. Debt is one of the most emotionally charged elements of the money game. For many people, the word itself creates fear. They think of stress, regret, pressure, shame. Others see debt as opportunity. They speak about leverage, growth, acceleration, strategy. This contradiction confuses most players. How can the same tool ruin some lives and dramatically improve others? The answer is not intelligence, it is not income, and it is not luck. It is understanding position inside the game. Why debt is misunderstood. Most people are taught one simple rule: debt is bad. This rule is repeated often. It feels protective. It sounds responsible. But like many simple rules, it hides complexity. Debt itself is neutral. It is a tool. And like any tool, it produces different outcomes depending on how and why it is used. A hammer can build a house. It can also cause injury. Debt works the same way. The survival player and debt for the survival player. Debt is emotional. It is used to reduce pressure now. Credit cards for relief, loans for comfort, financing for lifestyle. The goal is not growth. The goal is escape. Escape from stress. Escape from discomfort. Escape from feeling behind. This is understandable, but it creates a dangerous loop. Debt reduces pain temporarily, then increases pressure permanently. Monthly obligations rise. Flexibility disappears. Stress returns, stronger than before. The survival player feels trapped, and debt becomes a weight. The positional player and debt. The positional player sees debt structurally. They do not ask, "Can I afford the payment?" They ask, "What does this debt produce?" If debt creates future income, flexibility, or control, it is considered. If debt only creates comfort, status, or convenience, it is avoided. This distinction is everything. Winners do not avoid debt blindly. They avoid unproductive debt. The two types of debt in the money game. Debt falls into two broad categories. 1. Consumer debt, debt that pays for consumption, food beyond necessity, lifestyle upgrades, entertainment, status purchases. This debt produces nothing. It creates obligation without return. For survival players, this debt feels normal. For positional players, it is dangerous. 2. Productive debt, debt that creates or expands income, skill, or leverage. Education with return. Business expansion. Assets that produce cash flow. This debt is not risk-free, but it has intention. The difference is direction, why payments lie. One of the most dangerous tricks in the money game is payment thinking. How much is the monthly payment? This question hides the true cost. Payments feel manageable. Total obligation remains invisible. Survival players focus on affordability. Positional players focus on long-term pressure. A small payment repeated over years becomes heavy. Debt extends time pressure. Time pressure reduces options. Options are the real currency of the game. Why debt feels normal? Debt feels normal because it is everywhere. Advertising normalizes it. Peers use it. Institutions encourage it. This creates a false sense of safety. When everyone is in debt, it feels acceptable. But popularity does not equal strategy. Games reward positioning, not participation. The emotional trap of deserved. Many debt decisions are justified emotionally. I work hard. I deserve this. I'll figure it out later. These thoughts are human. But the money game does not reward emotion. It rewards foresight. Deserve does not reduce obligation. Debt does not care about intention. It only responds to structure. Why debt feels heavier over time. Debt is not static. As life changes, debt becomes heavier. Income fluctuates, energy decreases, responsibilities grow, but debt remains fixed. This asymmetry creates stress. Survival players underestimate this effect. Positional players plan for it. They assume life will become more complex, not easier. The real risk of debt. The greatest risk of debt is not interest. It is loss of flexibility. Debt reduces the ability to change jobs, take opportunities, handle emergencies, breathe mentally. This is why high earners still feel trapped. Income cannot overcome poor positioning. The moment debt stops being scary. Debt stops being scary when it is understood, when decisions are intentional, when obligations are calculated, when leverage is respected. Fear disappears with clarity. Avoidance disappears with strategy. What this segment is really about. This segment is not telling you to use debt, and it is not telling you to avoid it. It is teaching you to see it clearly. Debt does not decide winners. Understanding does. Coming next, in the next segment, the focus will shift to time and compounding. Why small decisions repeated consistently matter more than big dramatic moves. And why patience beats urgency in the money game. Segment 5. Time, Compounding, and Why Patience Beats Urgency. One of the most misunderstood elements of the money game is time. Most players see time as pressure. Bills are due. Goals feel far away. Progress feels slow. So they rush. They look for shortcuts. They chase fast wins. They jump from idea to idea. And in doing so, they unknowingly play against the most powerful force in the entire game. Compounding. Why urgency feels natural. Urgency feels logical. When money feels tight, the instinct is to fix it quickly. Make more money now. Solve the problem now. Escape discomfort now. This response is human. The brain is wired to reduce pain immediately. But the money game does not reward urgency. It rewards alignment with time. Those who fight time feel constantly stressed. Those who work with time feel progressively calmer. What compounding really is. Compounding is not just about investments. It is about decisions repeating over time. Small choices made consistently create exponential outcomes. This applies to saving habits, spending behavior, skill development, business systems, relationships with money. Most people think compounding is slow because they only see the early stage. Early compounding looks boring. Small gains, little visible change, no excitement. This is why most players quit. They mistake silence for failure. Why losing players overestimate the short term. Losing players focus on immediate results. They ask, what can change my situation this month? What will make me feel better right now? What's the fastest way out? These questions lead to reactive decisions. Over time, risky bets, lifestyle debt, emotional spending. Short-term relief creates long-term fragility. The pressure returns, stronger than before. Why winning players respect time. Winning players think differently. They ask, what decision will reduce pressure next year? What habit will make things easier over time? What system can run without constant effort? They accept that progress will feel slow at first. They understand that momentum is invisible until it isn't. And when compounding finally shows itself, it looks like luck. but it isn't. It is patience rewarded. The compounding of bad decisions. Compounding works both ways. Bad decisions compound too. A small, unnecessary payment becomes years of obligation. A habit of avoidance becomes chronic stress. A lack of structure becomes long-term instability. Most people don't fail dramatically. They drift slowly. And drift is hard to notice until damage is done. Why people sabotage compounding. Compounding requires waiting. Waiting is uncomfortable. Waiting feels like doing nothing. In a culture obsessed with speed, waiting feels like weakness. So people interrupt compounding before it has a chance to work. They change plans. They abandon habits. They chase new strategies. This resets progress repeatedly. The game rewards those who stay. Time as a positioning tool. Time amplifies position. If decisions are aligned, time works for you. If decisions are misaligned, time works against you. This is why early decisions matter. Not because they make you rich quickly, but because they determine which direction compounding moves. The myth of the big break. Many people wait for a big break, a promotion, a lucky opportunity, a sudden breakthrough. These moments can help, but they are not reliable. The money game is not won by moments. It is won by trajectories. Trajectory is shaped by consistent direction, not dramatic events. How to think long-term without feeling stuck. Long-term thinking does not mean ignoring the present. It means choosing actions that serve both. Stability now, strength later. This balance is rare and powerful. It removes desperation. Desperation leads to mistakes. Why patience is a strategy. Patience is not passive. It is intentional restraint. It means saying no to things that feel good now, so that life feels easier later. This is not moral superiority. It is strategic clarity. The moment compounding becomes obvious. There comes a moment when pressure drops. Not because income explodes, but because systems stabilize. Bills feel lighter. Choices increase. Stress reduces. People call this luck. But luck does not repeat. Compounding does. What this segment is really about, this segment is not asking you to wait endlessly. It is asking you to stop fighting time, to stop rushing against the game, to align with the force that quietly decides most outcomes. Time, coming next. In the next segment, the focus will shift to skills, leverage, and value creation. Why income grows faster for some players and stays capped for others, even when effort looks the same. Segment 6. Skills, leverage, and why effort alone keeps you poor. At some point in the money game, every player notices something uncomfortable. Two people can work equally hard. Sometimes one works even harder. Yet one person's income grows steadily, while the other hits a ceiling. This moment creates confusion. It feels unfair. It feels discouraging. It feels personal. But once again, the issue is not effort. It is leverage. Why hard work feels honest, but is not enough. Hard work feels honest because it is visible. Time is spent. Energy is used. Sacrifice is made. Society praises this. People respect long hours. They admire exhaustion. They celebrate hustle. But the money game does not reward effort directly. It rewards what effort is attached to. Effort without leverage produces exhaustion. Effort with leverage produces growth. This is where most people get stuck. What leverage actually is. Leverage is anything that multiplies the impact of your effort. Instead of trading 1 hour for 1 unit of income, leverage allows one action to produce results repeatedly. Leverage can take many forms. Skills that increase value over time. Systems that run without constant effort. Assets that work while you rest. Distribution that reaches many people at once. Leverage is not about power. It is about multiplication. Why most jobs cap income? Most traditional jobs are linear. Time in, money out. This is stable. This is predictable. This is safe. But it is capped. There are only so many hours in a day. There are limits to energy. There are limits to attention. No matter how hard someone works, linear income eventually hits a ceiling. This does not mean jobs are bad. It means they are one position in the game. Players who rely only on linear income remain vulnerable. Skills as leverage. One of the most powerful forms of leverage is skill, not general effort, but specific, valuable skill. Skills increase earning potential without increasing hours. They change position, communication, sales, writing, technical problem-solving, leadership. These skills scale. They make effort more valuable. 2 people can work the same number of hours. The one with higher leverage skills earns more. Not because they work harder, but because their work produces more value. Why most people pick the wrong skills. Many people invest years developing skills that do not compound. They become better at tasks, not better at creating value. They improve efficiency inside systems they do not control. This is not foolish. It is common. Because no one explains how skills function inside the money game. Winning players ask, "Does this skill increase my options?" Losing players ask, "Does this make me busy?" Systems beat talent. Another powerful form of leverage is systems. Systems reduce dependence on constant effort. A system can be a business process, a repeatable service, content that works continuously, automation, delegation. Systems turn action into repetition. Instead of starting from zero every day, results accumulate. This is why some people seem to move forward even when they slow down. They are not moving faster. They are better positioned. Why hustle burns people out? Hustle culture glorifies effort without leverage. It encourages constant motion, constant pressure, constant urgency. But urgency does not build systems. It destroys them. Burnout happens when effort is not multiplied. People feel stuck despite working harder than ever. This leads to frustration. Frustration leads to poor decisions. The emotional resistance to leverage. Leverage often feels uncomfortable. It requires learning. It requires patience. It requires uncertainty. Effort feels familiar. Leverage feels risky. This is why many people stay in low-leverage positions even when they know better. Fear prefers familiarity over progress. Why some people seem lucky. When leverage works, it looks like luck. An opportunity appears. Income jumps. Momentum builds. But these moments are not random. They are the result of positioning. Years of skill building. Systems quietly running. Value compounding unseen. Luck favors players who are positioned to receive it. effort still matters, but differently. This segment is not saying effort is useless. Effort is essential, but effort should be applied to building leverage, not just surviving. Effort used to learn skills. Effort used to design systems. Effort used to create assets. This effort compounds. Survival effort does not. The shift that changes everything. The most important shift is this. Stop asking, "How can I work harder?" Start asking, "How can this effort work for me again tomorrow?" That question changes decisions. It changes priorities. It changes outcomes. What this segment is really about. This segment is not promising fast money. It is revealing why some players escape pressure while others remain stuck despite effort. The difference is leverage. Once you see it, you cannot unsee it. And once you start building it, the game changes. Coming next, final segment. In the final segment, the focus will come together. Rules, players, cash flow, debt, time, leverage, and how to play the money game intentionally, even without high income, luck, or special connections. Segment 7. How to play the money game intentionally, even without luck. By this point, one truth should be clear. Money is not random, and it is not unfair in the way most people think. It is structured. And once a game is understood, it becomes playable. Most people never reach this point. They stay trapped in confusion, stress, and self-blame. Not because they lack ability, but because they never step back far enough to see the whole board. This final segment is about doing exactly that. Seeing the game clearly, understanding where you stand, and making intentional moves, even with limited resources. Why most people never win. Even when they know the rules. Knowledge alone does not change outcomes. Many people know what they should do. They know debt can be dangerous. They know cash flow matters. They know skills and leverage are important. They know time compounds, and yet nothing changes. Why? Because most people are still reacting emotionally instead of acting strategically. They wait for motivation. They wait for confidence. They wait for certainty. But games are not won by waiting. They are won by movement in the right direction. Not big moves, consistent ones. The difference between knowing and playing. Knowing the rules is not the same as playing the game. Playing requires accepting reality, making decisions before pressure forces them, choosing position over comfort, acting before certainty arrives. Most people delay until they feel ready. The money game does not reward readiness. It rewards positioning. Positioning starts with honesty. The first intentional move is honesty. Not judgment, not shame. Honesty. Where is money actually going? What decisions increase pressure? Which habits create relief but long-term damage? What is being avoided? Avoidance is the most expensive habit in the game. Winners face discomfort early. Losers face consequences later. Why small moves matter more than big ones. Many people believe they need a dramatic change to fix their money life. A new job, a big break, a sudden increase in income. But large moves often fail because they increase complexity before stability exists. Small moves work because they reduce pressure without overwhelming the system. Examples of small moves that matter: reducing one fixed cost, building one high-leverage skill, creating one simple system, eliminating one recurring leak, delaying one emotional purchase. These moves do not feel impressive, but they change position, and position determines outcomes. Why stability comes before growth? Growth feels exciting. Stability feels boring. But in the money game, stability is the foundation of everything. Without stability, growth creates stress. Income increases pressure. Opportunities feel risky. Decisions become emotional. With stability, growth feels manageable. Income creates flexibility. Opportunities feel possible. Decisions become strategic. This is why positional players focus on reducing pressure before chasing expansion. They build a base. The role of discipline and why it is overrated. Discipline is useful, but it is unreliable. People cannot maintain discipline under constant stress. Systems beat discipline. Structure beats willpower. Winning players design environments that make good decisions easier and bad decisions harder. They do not rely on motivation. They rely on design. Why comparison destroys strategy? One of the fastest ways to lose the money game is comparison. Comparing income, comparing lifestyle, comparing timelines. Comparison creates urgency. Urgency leads to poor decisions. Every player starts from a different position, different obligations, different skills, different responsibilities. The only meaningful comparison is with your past position. Is pressure decreasing? Is flexibility increasing? Are options expanding? That is winning. The truth about getting rich. Most people think winning the money game means becoming rich. It doesn't. It means gaining control. Control over time. Control over decisions. Control over stress. Wealth is a byproduct, not the goal. Many people with high income still feel trapped. Many people with modest income feel calm. The difference is not numbers. It is position. What winning actually feels like. Winning does not feel dramatic. It feels quieter. Bills stop causing panic. Decisions feel less rushed. Sleep improves. Options appear. People call this peace. But peace is not accidental. It is designed. The most important shift of all, the most important shift is this. Stop asking, how do I make more money? Start asking, how do I reduce pressure and increase options? This question changes everything. It changes what you say yes to. It changes what you say no to. It changes how money is used. Playing with the resources. You do not need perfect conditions. You do not need luck. You need to play with what exists now. Time you already spend. Skills you already have. Choices you already make. Games are not won by wishing for better pieces. They are won by using the board intelligently. Why this game is worth learning: because money stress destroys clarity. It affects relationships, health, confidence, choices. Learning the game does not guarantee wealth, but it guarantees awareness. And awareness prevents the worst mistakes. Final truth. Money is a game, not a moral judgment, not a measure of worth. A game with rules, positions, and consequences. Once you see it that way, you stop blaming yourself. You stop guessing. And you start playing intentionally. You do not need to win fast. You need to win eventually. And eventually is built by decisions made today, quietly, intentionally, without drama. That is how the money game is actually won.